part 2 down here in Gloucester with Laurence Shahlaei. Got to 2009, mate.
2009, yeah, good year for me, 2009.
Good.
Big highlights of 2009, obviously I won England's Strongest Man that year, beating 3-time champion Jimmy Marcoux. Which,
I bet that was a good feeling.
It was pretty good, considering I won the competition with an event to spare, so that was
So
you
nice. Blitzed it, really?
I was training pretty hard 2009, and I prepared myself really well for that contest.
Yeah.
Was feeling confident, and just everything seemed to go pretty well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have those days where it kind of really hits home and you think, yeah, that's a good day.
Yeah.
So obviously confidence grew, went to World's Strongest Man, and I kind of expected myself to make the final.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't, but kind of you've got to believe in yourself. You know, if you don't, strongman's a tough sport, and if you don't believe you can beat these guys, then go home.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. You've got to go with the mindset that you're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're all different, but the best guys always believe in themselves. You know, you can't give these guys too much respect. So,
no. No, that's fair enough.
As good as they are, and you know, they are.
Much as you respect them as a strong man, as a person, but obviously,
definitely, you know,
you're there to win.
Yeah, I know what they're going through, so there's a lot of respect for all of them. But you have to believe you can win. Yeah. If you don't, it's going to eat you up this sport.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So I had a lot of confidence in myself. I had a tough group with some big names like Travis Altmaier and Richard Skogg at the time was doing really well. And it just kind of went really well, the heats. Kind of the first event was the medley, and I ended up coming second. And then I kind of just went on flying. I ended up winning 3 events in a row. Won the trot pull, won the squat again, the World's Strongest Man. I was the only guy to finish all seven barrels.
You've got to take some confidence out of that loss, haven't you? Winning against these boys.
I mean, obviously across the heats, you know, as well. On the squat, I was beating guys like Derek Poundstone, you know, Jimmy Marcoux as well, he's got a strong pair of legs.
Yeah.
So obviously that kind of gave me confidence that I'm pretty good at this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're sort of finding your level now.
Yeah. And sometimes when you start a competition well, the confidence builds in the competition, and I was just flying. I ended up going on to Car Walk, and I won that event as well. And I'd already qualified for the final after 4 events, so I could take it easy.
So again, you sort of blitzed, you've done well.
Yeah, I mean, it was better than I expected. I always believed I could make the final. I didn't think I'd make it that easily. Yeah. But you know, things went my way. Athletes make mistakes, and you know, I performed probably slightly better than people expected. Yeah. And you know, I did as well as I could, and it was a good confidence builder. Yeah. The only thing I will say is when I got to the final, I was probably just happy to be in the final. Yeah. And I did well in the first couple of events. Farmers Walk has always been a pretty good event for me, and I think I ended up 2nd or 3rd on that event. So again, there was events.
That's your strongest event, isn't it, Farmers? Would you say?
Probably one of my best events. Yeah. I'm good at. There's a few events I'm good at. Squatting, obviously. The yoke. Yeah. It's one of my favourite events. Farmers Walk. You know, they're events that on my day I can beat anyone in the world. Yeah. But the standard's so high now across the board, so there's always guys that beat me. But I know on a good day I can beat them. You can beat them.
You can have your day. Yeah. Yes, that's for sure.
Definitely.
So you got to, as you say, you got to the final.
Got to the final, and I mean, I was happy to be there. Yeah. You know, I made my first final of World's Strongest Man. Something a lot of guys have never managed to do. So you know, you're like top 10 in the world at this sport, and I was kind of like just really pleased to be there. As I've always done with competitions, afterwards you've got to look back and try and think where you can get better and improve. Yeah. And that's what I've always tried to do. So I kind of, you know, people like Sven Carlson said to me, "You were happy to be there, weren't you?" I was like, "Yeah, honestly, I probably was." But then you have to look at it and think, right, what can I do now to progress? Yeah. And you know, like I said, I was taking events off these best guys in the world. You know, I beat Marius on events, Zadrunas, all the top guys. So on certain things, I knew I could hang with them. Yeah. So I had to try and think, how can I improve my weaknesses? Yeah. Big weakness, pressing. I was always losing way too many points on those kind of events. You know, I think my first Britain's Strongest Man, I could probably only bench 140 kilos. Really? Yeah, seriously. I mean, I remember doing the 115 kilo log and finding it brutally heavy. Yeah. So I was like, right, I need to work at this event, and that's what I went and did. I kind of thought, what are my weaknesses?
Worked on the weaknesses.
Yeah, and I had to develop a way that worked for me. I'm not the best strict presser in the world, so I looked at using my leg power, which has always been good, and developing explosive power. Yeah. So I started doing a lot of speed work, a lot of work with bands, worked my triceps a bit harder in the gym to try and develop that.
We've watched you with some bands today, haven't we, on the deadlift?
Yeah, on the deadlift, just started doing that, and that seems to be helping my lockout on the deadlift. Yeah. But the band work really helped my pressing. I don't think it'll work for everyone, but if you're an explosive athlete, I think it's a great form of training. and it's certainly, obviously, now I have a couple of British records in pressing.
Yeah.
For a couple of minutes I had the Axel world record until Zadrunas just went and made it look quite easy. But he seems to do that with all the pressing events.
Yeah.
But it was nice to make him actually have to work hard for a day. So yeah, I mean, my pressing now, I don't think it's too, particularly for maximum weights, I'm up there with the best in the world.
What's your top weight on pressing then?
190 log, 205 kilo axle, 118 kilo dumbbell. So I'm more proud of that because it was such a weakness.
Yeah.
I'm good at deadlifting, I'm good at squatting, but I was always pretty good.
It didn't come natural to you,
no,
so you had to really work it.
So I think any time you've got to work at something and it gets good, then it's kind of more rewarding.
There's a lesson for everyone there, that's for sure, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, now in strongman you can't rely on just having natural talents and being good at certain things.
Of course.
The guys are so good that you can't have a weakness.
No.
And I would say I'm pretty good all round, but I've still got a few little areas that at the top level are weak events. Like some people say my stones are weak. Nationally, they're not that weak. But at the top level, at the very top level, they're not good enough. And you know, I have to accept that. I've got to go and work hard, and that's what I've been trying to do. You know, my stones now is the one event I'm hammering harder than any, because that's probably the event that's let me down most in big contests.
It's good that you can identify that though, and as you say, I mean, there's no egos in strongman anyway. But you could say, well, I've made it to worlds. I'm not going to bother with this. You know what I mean? But you know, and work on your strengths. But you're happy to work on your weaknesses and accept.
That's not my personality. I always want to get better.
Yeah.
I'm never satisfied, and I'd probably win World's Strongest Man and say I didn't do good enough.
No, that's nice.
You know,
that's
I think a lot of the top guys, I know Terry's like that.
Yeah.
You know, he's an amazing athlete, but he's always wanting to do better.
Yeah.
I think having so many good athletes in England now, he's pushing us all to get better.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, with myself and Terry, probably, I think at the moment you've got to say we're the top two. But there's so many guys that are going to try and push us. Yeah. It's going to make us work harder to stay at the top, make them work harder to try and catch us.
There's a good group of Brits coming through, isn't there? You know what I mean?
Fantastic group at the moment. There's probably well, not probably, it's definitely the strongest group of British athletes ever.
For a long time, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, forever.
It makes it great for me because, you know, obviously these people are there, but you know, to be seen, you know, it's brilliant.
We've got guys in England that haven't done internationals that could go to internationals and do well.
Yeah.
You know, but because the standard's so high at the moment in the country, they've got to work hard and get to that level. But the thing is, when they do, they won't make a fool out of themselves. And
no, they won't. They'll
do well.
There's some real, and they're young as well. I mean, you know, you're not old. You're 28 in a minute.
One of the old boys now.
Well, it seems like you've been around for a long time. That's for sure. So we moved on anyway. That was 2009 for you.
2009.
Where did you come?
I ended up ninth in the final. So you know, I wasn't last in the final.
Well, as I always say, no one ever comes last in strongman. They only place. But
well, that's true.
Yeah, you know. So
you just survive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just being there is good enough. So 2010.
2010.
What sort of year was that for you, mate?
I had a really good year until the big one. You know, I was doing well in international competitions. I came second to Derek Poundstone in the Ukraine at the Giants Live.
Yeah.
I was actually winning till the last event. Had a number of podium finishes in international competitions.
Yeah. Qualified
for Worlds. Was expected. I put pressure on myself. I kind of really expected myself to make the final, and I admit I got kind of too arrogant. I thought I'd make the final with being able to save energy.
Right. Okay.
But
you was too economic.
Yeah, I was trying to save energy. I was trying to think. You know, I was probably thought I was better than I was.
Yeah.
Which I think we all go through sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But you have to be able to step back and say, right, you've got to learn from that.
Yeah.
It was a disappointing finish to the year. It really hurt.
Yeah.
I lost out on countback to make the final. I had Zadrunas in the group. You know, it's always tough when you've got someone like him in your group.
Yeah.
And then I was joint on points with Nick Best, real good American strongman, real tough, a tough guy. And those kind of guys are always difficult to beat. You know, he's a strong guy, strong all round. And we ended up on the same points, and he got through on countback. He ended up placing 5th in the final. So I was kind of like, you know, if I got to the final, I could have done well.
Yeah.
But you can't worry about ifs and buts in strongman. I've learned that you've got to just go away and prepare better for the next time.
After the competition, as a lot of people have said to me, you draw a line under it. That was in, and then you move on.
Definitely.